So, where do I begin? I'm clairaudient. It's not something that I was really aware of or consciously trying to be. I do want to share that this started about 3 years ago. That's the earliest that I can find evidence that I was actually experiencing this. There's going to be some videos that I film that I'm probably going to have them hidden on YouTube until God lets me release it, until God says, okay, now you can do it. So if you don't see this video until 2025, I do apologize. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss anything before I get on to the next video. So if you're someone who is clairaudient, if this is a new gift for you too and you just discovered it, your sis has been dealing with this for 3 years. I have not been diagnosed with any severe mental illnesses. I've never been diagnosed with any mental illness at all. So if you think, especially if you have a relationship with God or you're very deeply spiritual, it's very likely that you could be clairaudient. If you're hearing the voices, don't think that you're crazy. There are other people who experience this. Like I said, I experience it. Usually I hear things every single day. I don't write them all. It's gotten to the point where I hear so many things that I don't write everything down. It's just too much. I try to remember the main messages or the important ones because, like I said, I have to discern between the devil's voice or the enemy's voice and God's voice. If it's from God, I can tell, and I usually write those down so that I'm aware. And then I make markers because a lot of things have started to now come to fruition, and I'm just not realizing it. I heard it like last year, and I'm like, oh, I wrote that down. It was talking about this, like this is what it was talking about. Like, oh, I didn't realize that. Like, you know, so that's why I have all these little stickies because I want to kind of document the important messages or messages that I think are poignant so that I can reflect on them to see how long it took to actually manifest in the physical and, come to be or come to pass, God's word coming to pass. But I also wanted to speak on the goodness of it. Yes, it can be scary. It can give me anxiety sometimes, but I remember that God's voice stills me. God's voice is going to still me. So if it's a message that I hear that comes across and it's scary and it doesn't give me comfort, that's when I know it's not from God, and I don't worry about it and I ignore it. So you have to learn that. What else? I will say that my life now feels more controlled. I don't feel like I have free will. They say you have free will, but the deeper your connection with God is, the less free will you have. I really believe that. I don't feel like God is, I step out of line. God makes me think I'm going to do it, and then it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's like moot. Like I shouldn't have even tried it because God didn't tell me I could go. So I would say the biggest frustration with the gift that I have now is that I do feel controlled. I don't feel like I'm in control of my life anymore. And like I said, I have to really be careful because things that I normally would do in the past, I can't do them freely anymore without some sort of consequence. For example, whenever God told me you're going to be forced to surrender, I was like waiting around to see what was going to happen. Like, how am I going to be forced? Like that lingered in my mind the entire day. And then the next day, I felt completely exhausted. Like I didn't have the energy that I had the previous day. And I was like, okay, so this is what you're making me tired so that I can't get up and work on YouTube videos. I see what you're doing. So I'm just surprised I've gotten this far in this video because I'm checking my energy and how my energy feels. And if it doesn't feel good, or if I hear something from God, then I'm going to stop. Like I'm going to be obedient in that, but I haven't heard anything yet. My energy still feels good. So I think I'm still good to go. So before I end this video, I do want to talk about some of the different ways that God gives me messages, and because they're not always the same. So sometimes it'll be a direct voice. Like I told you, it was literal. I heard literally the words premature. It almost sounds like a whisper, premature. But it's not out here, it's in here, in my head. And I'll hear premature. And then the other message that I received the other night or the other day, you're going to be forced to surrender. It was very clear. So sometimes it's the little whispers that come through. Sometimes it's loud. It's very rare that it's loud, but when it's forceful and loud, I know that I need to pay attention. And then another time, it's sometimes it's little whispers, and then I can shut it off. Like if I don't want to hear it, I just say I don't want to hear it, and it's like I don't allow. I don't know. I guess the longer you have it, the more you feel like you can control. Like you can tune in. It's like a radio. You can tune in when you want to, or leave that door, that you can leave the window open, I guess you could say, to hear it. So that's how it's been for me. Another way I hear messages sometimes is songs. Sometimes God will download a song, and I know it's God because sometimes it's songs that I have never really paid attention to, or that I don't. It's not like a song that I would normally listen to. Like it's just I'll hear the lyrics, and then I'll wake up. I'll type the lyrics into Google, and then the song will come up, and I'm like, oh, I remember this song. But it's not a song that I listen to normally. It's not something that I would normally hear. It's like an obscure song. Like the other day, like last night, actually, I heard the song called Perfect Situation by Weezer. And it was an answer to a question I had asked. And I was like, oh, wow. Now I was like, I know this song. I was like, wow, I haven't heard this song in a long time. And then I typed it into Google and I read the lyrics. I was like, oh, that's, okay. And so yeah, so sometimes I get downloads that are songs, and man, let me tell you, back in 2022, I was getting Spice Girls a lot, and it was that song, "Say You'll Be There." That song was clockwork being downloaded to me. So that's another way that God speaks to me, and that's another form of clairaudience that I have. Okay, guys, I think I'm done with this particular video because I don't want it to run on too long. I have another topic within this topic that I want to share in another video. So you're going to have to actually watch that video to get that one. But if you like this line of video topics, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. Have you ever experienced clairaudience, or do you know anyone who has the clairaudient ability? Or do you have any of the other clairs? I think there's clairvoyance. Clairsentience is like clear feeling, when you can feel when something's not right and going to happen. And I kind of feel like, no, I think I have more clairaudience than clairsentience, and I forget the other one. There's clairaudience, clairvoyant, clairsentience, and clair something else. I don't know. I don't work in that realm. I used to be very into the occult. I never practiced witchcraft or anything like that, but I do find it fascinating. I used to find all of that stuff fascinating and interesting. I don't dive too much into it anymore because I don't want to be influenced by it. And I do believe that you open up doors to demonic spirits when you do that, or spirits that you might not want to be in touch with. And that's why and because of the gift that I have, I know that I am more sensitive to that now because I hear the voices, and the voices are not always good voices. So I know that I have that ability to be tapped into. And I'm strong enough in my faith, in my prayer life and all that it doesn't scare me, and I'm not afraid. Fear is not of God, but I'm cognizant and aware of the true reality of the spiritual world that we live in and how real it really is. And I encourage anyone who is wanting to know more about Christianity and the faith to drop me a comment below. I grew up as Muslim. So just the backstory, I grew up in the faith of Islam. That's what I grew up in, but it never made sense to me. I didn't really understand it. I still don't really understand it. And I decided I wanted to chart on my own path in spiritual growth.